Johnny. Great. It's a great pleasure to be here because I'm here talking with Jon Strong, someone that we've met on many occasions over the last 40 plus years.
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw you was in Leeds, and you'd come back over from Holland where you were living.
Yeah.
And I saw you, and I'd learned about 3 chords. I'd been playing the guitar for about 3 or 4 years in standard tuning.
Yeah.
And I watched you and I thought, that's a way that I would like to be able to play the guitar.
Right.
At that time. And people had spoken about you, but I'd never actually seen you until probably 76, 77 time.
Yeah, well, 1976, I went over to Holland in 76 with Kieran Halpin.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing like all of us, going around the folk thing, and got sick of it basically. I wasn't getting anywhere, so we went to Holland and just got some gigs, and I ended up staying there for 10 years.
When you say you were sick of the folk scene, I mean it was a whole different kind of scene then.
Well, I mean, I was working for my dad in a family business. He had a small joinery business basically, and we did exhibitions and built stages in the Queen's Hall and blah blah blah. And then he died. He was only young. He was only 58. He died in 1973, and when I was working, the only thing I ever wanted to do was play guitar. I wasn't interested in joinery in the slightest. So when he died, within a week I said, look, I'm out of here. I'll sort things out with the company and everything, but I don't want to be involved anymore.
Mm. So when did you actually start playing guitar?
When I was 7.
All right.
Very, very young, yeah.
And I've asked a lot of people this. Did you ever have any lessons, or was it just pure self-taught?
It's very strange. It sounds weird, this, but a friend of my dad called Herbert Kitchen had his son still got the guitar. It's an Abbott, an old English, a beautiful archtop guitar. Mm. And he brought it round over our bungalow when we lived in Cross Gates, and I don't know if I have a vivid memory of that's like strumming this thing, and I don't know, but that's how I started. I just knew. Really. Anyway, got sent off to Kitchens in Leeds, where the Tuesday night upstairs with a guy called Len Lewis, and there was about 15 of us. My dad had built me a guitar because my dad was a fantastic joiner, carpenter, and a good businessman, but it was no luthier. And he'd got it from a plan made out of plywood, and I think the strings were about 1/4 of an inch off. And Len Lewis said to him, he said, well, yeah, he's all right, he's got an ear for it, as your lads, but he said, look, it's unplayable.
I've got this theory that it's always good to learn on a bad instrument.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a bad instrument, then it forces you to try and find a way of playing it. So when you do get a reasonable guitar.
Yeah, this used to cut your fingers in half. So then he bought me. We were still living in Cross Gates, and I remember he got a Hofner President.
Oh yeah.
I was still at junior school then, so
right.
I must have been about 8 or 9.
So the arch tops.
Yeah, the Hofner President.
The senators and presidents and
there was a senator,
congressman, I think.
Yeah. Which was nearly as big as me, you know. And my first gig was playing at Manston County, not primary, Manston Junior School, C of E, playing Michael Row the Boat Ashore. Mm. And, what was the other one? That I, the beat is crazy, from that TV song. A guy called Dave Wilkinson.
Yeah. From Small Acorns, Mighty Oaks.
That was my first gig. Yeah.
And do you think, I mean, when I saw you at that time, I just loved your direct approach to playing. Everybody else was almost like touching the guitar, with like a feather-like touch, but you were like straight in. And
no, I've always mainly used a flat pick. I do a little bit of, well, I don't do any finger picking anymore. I really liked it, but I never did. The one guy I learnt finger picking from was a guy called Dave Spates. I'm sure you must know Dave.
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen him for a long time, but he's just reappeared on the scene doing gigs. And I always remember seeing him at the White Swan Folk Club. He was going out with a friend of mine, and he used to get his fingers. A lot of people used to use nails and things. I could never stand those things that you.
Oh yeah, the
finger pick. I can't play with those things. But he used to get his fingers underneath the strings and like almost pull off. And I watched him and he showed me how to do it, and that's how I finger pick. Consequently, if you do it a lot, you get calluses on that bits of your fingers. And if you don't do it for, if I played for half an hour, you'd have a blister. You won't be able to play for another week.
Right. Oh, how we suffer for our art.
Oh yeah.
You said that you'd become sick of the folk scene. I mean, it was difficult.
Yeah.
For me, I would say that there was this divisional thing of like the traditional, there was the contemporary.
Exactly.
And you were. I mean, I've looked at the way some people describe your albums. You know, like they put it in like genres.
Yeah. And
they wind up saying like folk and world and blues and I think there's only opera and ska that they don't actually mention.
Well.
But you must have felt as if yourself that you fell between so many stools.
Yeah, we did. We never really fit into it to any of them really. I mean, I started off doing like Neil Young covers and Paul Simon when I was going around the folk clubs and that. Then I started writing the occasional song and going and when I was still working for my dad, I'd be out 4 nights a week. I'd come home from work, have my dinner and I'd be off within sort of a 30-mile radius of Leeds and do floor spots and go down well and you never get a gig out of it,
So much has not changed really, but that's there is a certain aspect of that, like serving an apprenticeship.
Yeah, it does you good, but it would be nice to get a gig out of it if you've gone down really well. If you're always vying for the last spot before the main artist came on, which is now the other way around. You just want to get on first and go home. I
remember years ago Dave Berlin saying, like, when you're young, it's like, like, put me on last.
There was a lot of vying for who'd get the spot,
And now it's like, I'll put us on first so I can get back home and have a lie down and catch a cup of cocoa before EastEnders is on.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
But, it sort of... I got a bit fed up with it, and this was after my father died, and I met Kieran and we started playing a bit together, and he was a bit the same. We thought, I knew a guy called Mike Silver who lived in Holland, and he had a boat called a Joke. I think it was moored on the Amstel or the Single, and so I went to see him, and then there's this place called the Folk Fairport, which was everybody played over 7 days a week. So we got some gigs in there, and it all started. Then went to Germany that lovely long hot summer. Went to Germany, we busking, got some gigs in Germany for then sort of October, November time to come back over and do these proper gigs. And got a place to stay in a youth hotel called the Adam and Eve. And we were
all the young and centrums and like youth clubs with beer.
It was a hostel, like a hotel place, and we had it was outside of the back. I mean, it was just as basic as it got. But we used to play there once a week, twice a week, and for that we got free food. Lodgings and everything else.
Did you ever get money?
Not from them, no. I mean, we thought that was a decent deal. Amsterdam was not a cheap place to live.
No, I mean, we had played in the Folk Fairport myself. We were probably, there at the same time.
Yeah.
I was playing for the Yorkshire Tourist Board,
Right.
You know, from 73, 74, with this accent, advertising Yorkshire sausages and singing Ilkley More Bar Tat.
Oh my God.
But also places like the Melkveg and all of these. How did you feel that within England and Scotland and the UK, it was very difficult to get gigs, but you found in Europe it was much more open?
Absolutely, it was a lot easier to get gigs, particularly in Germany. I mean, I always preferred playing in Germany to Holland. Amsterdam was alright, but if you went up the north of Holland, it sounds horrible, but it's a bit farmerish, if you know what I mean.
That's right, yeah. Well, there's the big jokes about the Boers, like up in Groningen and...
What you just mentioned, the younger centrums, we had an agent called Annika, and we'd get these gigs and these younger centrums, they're not... They're like youth clubs, but most people are over 18 or, you know, round about that sort of age. And there were just nobody ever listened, you know.
Right.
It was just awful.
You see, I find that surprising because, I mean, the Dutch are like the translators for Europe. They've had every nationality of TV since the mid-60s. And but ours, we were in a different situation. I mean, we came in on the Irish scene.
The Irish thing was a very different thing. Yeah, I mean, like in Germany, as you well know, every other bar was an Irish bar in Germany. And they were all speaking with Irish accents, you know. And,
how you doing there? And what's your name? Oh, Helmut. And where you from? Düsseldorf.
It was similar in Holland, on the traddy folk scene. Yeah, that was a completely different thing,
but Amsterdam was a good place.
Yeah, and other places. But Amsterdam itself, and then I moved up to Alkmaar for a while, which is probably about 30 miles north. Lived there. But basically, we started working a lot more in Germany, and Amsterdam was a base, and then with Germany and Sweden and Denmark.
This was all very exotic, wasn't it? I mean, at the time, I mean, just going to Europe seemed a bit, probably not for you. It was like you're trying to live.
Driving for 12 hours.
Well, I do think that there's a big difference in the distances. And towns that have the same name but 100 miles apart. You drive to them and go, no, it's not this one, it's the one that's the other side of the valley.
In Germany, there must be 1,000 different towns called Neustadt.
And,
but I mean, we were young and we had a whale of a time. You know, it was great fun.
And did that help, that you were in almost a nurturing situation for people listening to what you were doing? Did that help with the writing? Or was it just a case of you had more time? So like during the day you would be...
I'm not sure really, I mean, when I was working on my own, then I then met this guy, Gelt Dijkstra. And, that would be 1982, I think, something like that. And we started working with drum machines. I was always into technology, and we had one of the first drum machines in Holland. We got it through the record company, Munich Records, and got into that. And then we used to go and do gigs and program the drum machine, or just let it run and play. Because I was singing in English, and nobody understood it anyway if you're in Germany. So we just jam and record stuff, and then come back
and then pick out the best bits.
Oh yeah, that's all right. That's a lot of rubbish. And we used to do that with Ryan Duncan, who I was playing with now for over 27 years. And we used to do that all the time when we were on tour in Holland.
You were talking about the like Munich Records, because your first album came out, Night Shift.
Yeah.
When was that? Was that about 80? 79ish?
79ish, yeah. I mean, there was a story that was I'm not sure if I can actually remember exactly what happened, but there was a competition and I won it to get a record contract. And the studio is up in Zwolle, where Mike Silver had moved to. He had a little house there. And anyway, I'd won it, but it turns out I was the only one who was involved in it. So it was a complete rip-off.
No,
anyway,
not at all. You came first out of one.
Yeah.
That's near enough.
Met all these musicians. We had Tom McConville playing on it, Kieran Alpin, Chris Jones, who's sadly not with us anymore, and then the remnants of a band called Nova Carter, who were
like Magna Carta.
They split off from Magna Carta.
They didn't spend a lot of time on the name then.
No, it was what's his name out of the other guy and
Martin.
What's his name now? I can't remember his
Simpson?
name. No, not Rick Simpson, the other one.
Chris Simpson.
Chris Simpson, but the other guitar player lad.
Only met them once, very fleetingly.
Anyway,
probably in Huddersfield.
It was his band, Lecter Tanger, and they were great musicians. So we got together, rehearsed up in his studio in Zwolle, and then recorded the album just on 8-track. And then it turned out that none of these guys had been paid. I didn't know, because the deal was it was being paid for, because I'd won his competition. Anyway, I found out, we just came out in general conversation when it was all finished, that nobody had got a penny, and we'd spent quite a bit of time. And I approached the guy who ran it, and he was a complete utter crook.
Alright.
And he said, "Oh, no, I'm not paying the musicians."
That's you. Right.
So I said, "Well, who's paying them?" I said, "I haven't got any money." So I had to borrow the money off my mother to pay these guys. They had to exactly, it was 1,500 quid, and that was a lot of money back in 1979.
Right. And as well as paying the musicians, did you wind up actually paying for the album as well?
Yeah, well, the deal was I took the master tapes. After that, I paid musicians and I got the masters.
Right.
And then, can't remember exactly how. No. Annika Wetslow, the agent, got in touch with Job Zomer, who was the guy who set up Munich Records, and his sidekick was Ben Matthijssen, and I think it was Annika who took a cassette in, and they took it over, they licensed it.
All right.
Remastered it and then licensed it. And
because, I mean, Dave Dayton was over at that time as well.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, and he released, was it on Fish Records, I think it was, or something like that? Or
Stockfish.
Stockfish, okay,
yeah.
And, I mean, these albums were, passed around and people would look at them in complete envy. And little did we know the heartache that it caused in the first place. But it must have been a way of getting yourself known as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was fantastic to have my first album out. And
at that time, did you take a lot of interest in the recording process?
I always had, one of the deals I had with Munich, it's just when the cassette players came out, you know, the Fostex, and they got me a 4-track, and that's how I started with getting into studio works. And decent microphone, compressor, that's all you need. Right. And
I don't know if you know this, but there used to be, I mean, you were seen as a level of excellence within Leeds. I mean, I remember I saw you at that concert, and I wasn't stalking, but I was a huge fan of Tom Robinson. I was listening in, and he was saying, how he couldn't believe that you'd done Honest Soldier just in a home studio. That was kind of 99ish or thereabouts.
It would be.
Which would be at the beginning of people being able to make their own albums that would be released from home almost.
Well, I had my studio in. It's still there actually. It's now a rehearsal studio. I built it within the yard of my dad's old factory, which was rented out, and we we built a whole building within an old building. It was
Mm.
like a size of a bungalow, basically. It took us 6 months, me, a bricklayer, his son and myself,
Mm.
and our roadie Robin, who was labouring, and that's where we did Honest Soldier. Then we got involved with Lynn Records. Lynn Records got involved, and they bought all the well, we had a 48 channel board in there, 24 track digital,
Right.
DA88s. It was a really nice.
But absolutely the cutting edge of recording at that time.
At that time, yeah. Except these machines were. I had my dog, Poppy, a psychopathic German Shepherd, and long-haired, well, any dogs, but long-haired German Shepherd's hair.
Yeah.
I mean, these things worked on like a cassette, you know, thing, but a dog hair is like putting a log in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
They work on microns, these
Yes.
things. And I used to smoke like a chimney, idiotically. And the tape heads on each machine would last about 1,000 hours, which is nothing, you know.
Oh yes, you got
doing
the time.
8 hours a day, you soon clock up 1,000 hours. 750 quid each head. There's 3 machines, you know. So anyway.
But I mean, as a side to that, it's I remember buying like a recording desk from one of the music shops down by the riverside, back at the Calls. Can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
And the fellow was saying, whispered in the ear, "That's the kind that Jon Strong uses." Like, so there was you and Bill Nelson, because I bought an ERP synthesizer.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, that's Bill Nelson's."
Bill.
So there was like you and certainly Bill Nelson were seen as like the pinnacle of recording or equipment.
I met Bill through a guy who used to be in a band called Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry.
Oh yes,
Do you remember them?
Yeah.
And he was Bill's sort of sidekick, fixer, as well as being in the band. And I was looking for a flight case for the mixer, and we were going on tour. We were catching a boat to Holland, and me and Gelt, we called in at Bill's house. He said, "I'll meet you there." I'm called in, and first time I've been a massive fan of Bebop Deluxe and
oh yeah, me too.
Red Noise. Loved his playing. Anyway, arrived at this really nice house near Eggborough, the power station there, and made us a cup of tea, and he took us up in his studio and he showed us all these fantastic guitars, and ended up. He said, "Right, this flight case, what size is it?" I said, "Well," and I've got some in the garage, and he had this triple garage and a beautiful white Porsche 911, a 2CV, and flight cases packed to the ceiling. And we found one which fit absolutely perfectly, this desk, and he picked another one out, and he opened it up, and there was a Gibson SG in it, and he went, "Bloody hell," he said, "I haven't seen that for years." He didn't even know it were in this.
Oh right, okay.
Took it back inside.
Yeah. Do you think there's like a limit to how many guitars you should really have? I mean, quite often people have like 40 and 50 guitars.
Yeah.
You can only play them one at a time.
I mean, I had my Epiphone Tex, and I got when I was 16, which was a gorgeous guitar, and I sold that about 5 years ago.
Right.
It was sat in here doing nothing.
Yeah.
And
is that the one that, at one point, I mean, when you were playing like less acoustically, you'd put like a CD in the sound tool and covered it all with gaffer?
Yeah. I mean, that's why when I bought my first Ovation from a girl, an American girl in Amsterdam, and it was like, for what I was doing, it was just so much easier because I had pickups on the. I didn't want to butcher this beautiful 1960. It was a 60.
Gaffer tape was all right, was it?
Yeah, gaffer tape was all right. I had a mic inside, and then these Ibanez bug things. And, plug the Ovation in, and
it just works
sounded
straight away.
fantastic. from what I was doing, it was a work tool.
Yeah, I'd only ever seen Jon on the trading play one.
Yeah.
And I mean, hell of a player.
Yeah.
And just, I thought, oh, what's that? I've got to say, I admire the fact that you've stuck with them. I tried one once,
yeah.
and I found myself like sliding round because like the back belly.
Yeah, they're not the comfiest, and like they come when you get them, they come with a little bit of like rubbery stuff because of the curved back.
Yeah.
If you try and play them sat down, they slide off.
But standing up, they're okay.
Yeah, but this rubber comes off within 6 months.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone who's why they didn't stick them on properly. I don't know. And but I've just got well, I bought it from a vicar about 6 or 7 years ago now.
Does it still sell default play come by all?
Well, I bought Paul Templeton, you know Paul, don't
I know Paul, yes.
Because he's an ovation, collects ovations, and actually he's good mates with the son of the guy who started the company.
All right.
And he lent me an ovation Adamus with the carbon fibre top, completely carbon fibre, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I was looking out for one, and I saw one. It was down, it was quite a way away, down south somewhere. And when I got there, it was a vicar, and it's this guitar. He'd used it once at a funeral, so he told me.
Yeah.
And it just looked like it had come out of the shop, you know. I got a really good price on it. And
I've got to say that there's almost a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I bought it from an old lady who'd only driven to the shops with it. You know, a vicar who played it at it.
Yeah.
But
it's but yeah, that's they're a workhorse. And actually, the strange thing about it is this. The carbon fibre ones sound more natural than the wooden ones. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but in my opinion, when I mic them up, because I'm doing solo stuff in here, I'll plug it in one channel and then I'll stereo mic it onto. So I'm using 3 channels, and it literally does sound more acoustic than the wooden ones.
Well, it's just one of those things. I think personally that guitars are a bit like cars. You can buy an old banger that looks terrible, but it plays beautifully.
Absolutely,
It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a dunce when it comes to, you know, what's the guitar. I go brown. You know, I don't really know model number or whatever.
I mean, that one there behind you. Well, is it there?
This one.
Yeah.
Tanglewood.
Tanglewood. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on eBay.
Wow.
Solid cedar front.
Yeah.
Top on it. Solid cedar. It's got Fishman electrics in it and a preamp and everything. 85 quid.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And it got somebody had dropped it off a stand and it had got a ding. This is from a shop. And it was delivered for 95 quid. It was up in Sunderland or something like that.
Yeah.
Or up your end.
Yeah.
And for that, what, for a solid spruce-bodied guitar?
I know.
And when I got it, they're all these tangles and everything. They're not set up very well.
No,
because you're getting what you pay for. But if you get them set up,
get them set up, they're fine. Absolutely,
it's as good as any Martin.
I've got a Tanglewood a Dobro.
Yeah.
It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
It just sounds absolutely marvellous.
Johnny Dickinson, that one he plays. It's like a little parlour guitar, isn't it? And that sounds gorgeous.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think we've both been in the same situation where there's like 10 people sitting around in what's supposed to be like a guitar club, and they're all looking at them. And I'm saying, well, are you going to pick one up and play one? These
days, I mean, anybody who's, you know, if you have to have Gibson written on the top of it or whatever, fine, or Martin. And there are some nice, I mean, an old Martin and old Gibsons are gorgeous, you know. But now the prices have, you know, way out of my league anyway.
It's the guitar itself rather than the name.
They've never been cheaper, and made in China or wherever they're made, and get them set up. Take them somewhere and get them set up is my advice, because it'll make a world of difference.
You heard it here first. To go back to Night Shift, it was a mixture of styles. I mean, I think you played dulcimer on it.
Yeah.
And you had like Chris Jones. Was he playing fretless? Was he fretless bass at that time?
No, Chris was a guitar player.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the other lad. Yeah.
Gelt Dykstra was the fretless bass player.
Yeah.
That came afterwards. That was after Night Shift.
But it sort of lent towards the kind of sound that you were going to be making.
Yeah, we actually used fretless bass on that, and what was it? I can't remember the guy's name. He was, I think he was from Argentina. I'll have to look on the album. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's come to this. But, I mean, the sound, I mean, you had drums and you had bass, but not on all of the tracks. So,
No.
so it was quite a mixture.
Yeah, we
that
had drums, bass, piano, flute,
Fiddle.
electric guitar, acoustic guitar, 2 acoustic guitars, tom and fiddle on a couple of songs. I think he plays on 2, I think. And
So what I was going to ask was, did you find yourself moving away since, I mean, folk clubs wouldn't have accepted that kind of performance anyway?
I wasn't bothered. I sort of wanted to make a proper record, you know,
Yes.
what I considered to be a proper record, like with drums and bass.
Yes.
First time I'd ever played with drums and a bass player.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, it sounds as if that was the kind of thing that you were always going to be.
Well, after that, I preferred. I like doing the odd solo gig, but at the moment I wouldn't really enjoy it. I feel much more comfortable just playing with my band, with Roy and Duncan, you know.
Well, I hadn't realised it had been quite so long. I mean,
yeah.
One of the things I was going to ask you about is, like, when you're writing songs, for me, I think that the arrangement is as much of the song as anything. And have you ever written a song knowing that you've got these two, you know, compatriots to play alongside you, that you are almost predicting what they would do with one of your songs?
No, not really. No, I mean, we're almost telepathic after 27 years. I mean, I just go through the chords with Duncan. Roy will get it straight away, or he won't, and I'll say, no, a bit more of that feel. He's got it.
He's got a 50-50 chance of getting it right or wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he normally gets it right. And
well, when I saw you recently at Gateshead, it just felt like a, you know, that synergistic thing. When you've got like 3 people, but it sounds like 5. You know, you have got that together.
Well, I mean, me and Roy and Duncan. I mean, I wouldn't swap them for anybody. You know, I mean, we just gel. Roy's a listening. He listens. You know, he just plays the right thing. Duncan plays the right notes on the bass. Not the flashiest bass player in the world, but
a great player.
I don't want a flashy bass player.
No.
You know, but he does some lovely. He's a very subtle bass player. Duncan. It doesn't sound like he's. You know, he plays all the right notes, which is down here, not up here.
All right, okay. He's no Paul McCartney.
You know, I don't mind the odd bit up there, but you want basses are what the name is. It's bass.
It's the bass sound. Yeah, that's its
for me.
function. There was one of the songs that you did. I can't remember which one it was. When I saw you recently in Gateshead, where he was playing like the fretless, and it was just. I mean, because a fretless bass can sound almost like an orchestra. Yeah. I think it was Pino Palladino.
That's right.
That I'd first heard.
Used to play with Paul Young.
With Paul Young, you just.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Also, like Andy Fraser.
Yeah.
Played a few bits with Free. You know, you just.
Jaco Pastorius.
Oh, Jago, yeah. Well, one of the things I suppose, if we're talking about Jago Pastorius, you use quite a few tunings, and I'm wondering, was there any influence from other people who were playing tunings? Did that, or was it just something that you kind of fell into?
It was the first tuning I heard was it was I think it was an open D, and then somebody showed me Dadgad, which is like your standard tuning for your folky stuff, and it just changed my world of playing really from quite early on, because you just get such a big sound, and like playing on your own. Then I found out found these other tunings which are based around C, so you've got a low C bottom end, which is sometimes lower than the bass guitar notes that Dunk's playing, you know.
Is that what you do on a soldiering? With that?
No, that's a really weird one.
That's a really low note.
That's a standard tuning, but the top E is down to A, so they're unison, 2 A's together. Right.
And what's the bottom string then? Because it's very prominent in the...
That's it. It's normal tuning except for the bottom E, which is tuned all the way down to A.
All right.
So it's
sorry, yeah. So wow.
It's a strange tuning.
But it's fabulous.
You'll find it's like what can you do with that? But if you persevere, there's some very interesting bits. It's not the most versatile tuning in the world by any means.
But that's not. But it leads to other chord and slightly different kind of chord progressions.
I've got two songs out of it basically, so now that's all right.
Well, that's pretty good. It was worth the bother. All the way down. With your second album, Never Neverland, was that with Gelt or was that?
Yeah, that was after I met Gelt. That'd be early
80s.
Early 80s, yeah.
Because you played in the Fenton. You had like a regular gig at the Fenton.
Well, that was after we started playing. That's when I decided to come back to England.
All right.
Because we've been playing for about 4 years in Holland, and I mean we were doing a lot of gigs, and touring in Sweden and all over the place, and Gelt didn't drive in those days, and so I was doing all the driving, and again it was just Dutch thing where you get there set up. We had quite a big PA system, and we're lugging it all about ourselves, no roadies or anything, and it's like you're playing and people weren't just didn't give a toss. And we came over to England and got a few gigs over here, and like we were amazed at how well it went down. And Gelt particularly, it knocked his head off. He went, wow, what's
lovely man. Yes, I mean
people are actually listening.
Yeah,
they're listening to it. I'm seeing it. They're listening, you know. And we came over and spent like a bit similar to when I first went to Holland. We came back over and had such a good time. We said, and I'd had enough of Holland. I wanted to come home. I'd nearly 10 years there, and yeah, I just wanted to come home. I just had enough of it.
I think everybody was amazed because they'd never seen a drum machine.
Yeah.
I mean, people would have the small ones that look like a foot pedal, and they would make like a bossa nova or a... They all had like bossa nova and merengue like rhythms in, but yours was a proper programmable, you know, so it sounded, well...
But I mean, we used to get a load of stick as well, because from the purists who hated drum machines, we used to get a lot of criticism for that, and which actually now I wouldn't work with it. Well, I do work with drum machines, but on the computer. But they're far more sophisticated.
Oh yes.
You can't tell they're not drums now.
Yes.
I mean, but in those days, they're not a proper band because you're using a drum machine. So my advice to that was, well, I'll do what the hell I want. So
I find that hard to believe.
But I wouldn't go back to playing live with a drum machine anymore.
No.
But
I mean, I think everybody was amazed because they'd never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
And the sound that you made, it was... And was it at a time that you were doing quite a bit of support work with various other bands, or...?
No, most of the support work I did was when I lived in Holland.
Oh really? All right.
From Munich Records, and they were well in with the main promoters in Holland was Mojo and that's when they got me on the Rycuda tour, and the did a few Van Morrison tours, and Talk, Robert Palmer,
right,
Clannad once, quite a few, and that was great because like I did 3 nights with Rycuda, and I idolised the guy.
I think everybody has to, really.
And to actually meet him and get friendly, Jim Kelp, fame, the best drummer in the world for me, you know. And that's
so if you look, he's worked with everybody.
I hate people who say they're the best guitar player. It's rubbish. There's no best of anything.
No.
People are different. But he's my favourite drummer. I mean, he's and such a lovely, lovely guy. You know.
Yes.
He used to record. He used to wear these boots, and they were lace-up boots. He never lace them up. And as a drummer, you'd think like you'd want your shoes tied, wouldn't you? And he had one of those, when the Sony Walkmans came out, they had a recording one with 2 stereo mics on top. And he used to record every gig. He had it at the side of his kit, and he used to record every night. And then he'd go off after the gig, after playing, and they did 2.5 hours, a 2.5 hour set, which I always thought was a bit long, to be honest, but I think an hour and a half, 2 hours is anyway. That's and
can I just say I agree. Why put somebody on for like 2.5 hours after about 45 minutes? I'm thinking, oh yeah. But I think with Rycuda you can get away with it because he's been 5 different types of guitarists anyway.
So when I used to get the sound checks, and my favourite bit was the 3 black guys, the singers.
Oh yes,
Willie Green. Something Dick, Bobby King, I think Willie Green, and the guy was the guy who did the really high notes was the big guy with all the pump, he obviously pumped iron or something, you know. The guy who had the really low note, really low, was really slim, skinny guy, you know. They used to do their sound check in the afternoon. And they just sing together with nothing else, and I used to love it, yeah.
All right. Did that influence any way that when you would record, you would try and like emulate that like range of harmony, or? I mean, I do know that you sing quite a lot of your own harmonies as well.
Yeah, I always have. No, it wasn't. I've always loved singing harmonies, and because from going back playing with Kieran Halpin, and before that I know we had a little duo called Windmill. We used to play locally with a mate of mine, he's gone now, Dick Waldegrave, and we used to do Cat Stevens stuff and all that, and they were all harmony stuff, you know. I've always loved, I would love to be in a band and stand up, play guitar and sing harmonies.
Oh, right.
And not have to do anything else. Not have to think about anything. I'd love to, as a side thing, that I would absolutely love to do that.
It sounds a bit like Kenny Rogers, because that's how he started, playing bass and singing harmony. He says, I don't want to get up and sing. Why would I want to get up and sing? I just love like singing harmonies. I'm more than happy with that.
Well, I really do like singing harmonies, and I can usually get a harmony straight off without, if I hear it, I can sing it straight away. You know, I don't have to practice it.
All right. I have to work and work and work. I'd like trying to find a harmony. But it's like I've come to it late.
To me,
yeah. Well, I envy you, and I mean, it always sounds fantastic when you've done it.
Thank you.
You know. So, with one thing is with the writing process.
Yeah.
For Night Shift, you would have had like quite a bit of time to write songs beforehand, or you'd accumulated a number of songs.
I had most of the for Night Shift. I had most of the songs written. Yeah, and we went in the studio, and the guys who I'd only just met, besides Kieran, Tom, and Chris Jones, they learnt their parts, and they were good lads. I mean, they didn't mess around, you know.
But you had played together. I mean, I know I've seen you and Kieran and Tom There's one on YouTube of you all sitting, I think, in the folk
Kieran and Tom and me had played together, in England, and then Tom and Kieran. Well, I stayed in Holland after '76. I sort of went back over there in the October. We did these gigs, and I stayed because I liked the place, and it was the Kieran was coming back doing the English folk scene, and started playing with Tom McConville sort of full time, and then they came over. Then I joined them, and we did a tour. Oh God, no! Well, I don't know when it was. '77 maybe, something like that.
But you did. I mean, you've mentioned Kieran, and there was like Tim Wood and Patty Matheson, and like the Blenheim Square.
Oh, the Blenheim Square.
The Blenheim Square. Dun, dun, dun.
The House of Shame.
Tell me more. No, it's just one of the things. If you're in close proximity with a lot of other songwriters, did that spur you on, or was there kind of like a healthy competition, or did it make any difference?
No, it was just a crash for me, basically. I mean, we all stayed. Strangely enough, when I got back to England, in Blenheim Square, the first place where I had my room, where Patsy lived and Anita, Rob Van Santi was staying there, and I walked through the door. I knew Rob because he's from Alkmaar, and knew him in Holland. And I said, what are you doing here? He says, I live here. I said, bloody hell. And then me and Patsy got together, and I got this other flat, which used to be Mark Allman's flat from Soft Cell.
Okay.
Don't get me on about him. But,
tell me afterwards. Don't.
Anyway, it was his flat when he was at Leeds University, and I got that, and it was a ground floor flat, which was great because you always, as a musician, if you got PAs, you need a ground floor flat. You know.
Or somewhere with a big hallway.
Yeah.
Where you can stop.
No, you won't leave in the hallways in Blenheim Square, but and then we was. I've lost my train of thought.
Well, we're just saying like about sort of all the people playing in the one place. Was there a kind of like a healthy competition between you, or like you say, it was just? I wouldn't say
it was competition. I mean, most of the time it was just there was a lot of partying going on in the house. I mean, me and Gelt were doing our thing. Rob was going out doing his thing. I mean, actually, there weren't that many musicians there. Well, there was Jeff Ingram and all these guys were there. I mean, it were mad. We used to have a poster on the wall called "Permanent Soiree," and that's basically what it was. I mean, we had some real humdinger of parties and things there. And Tim Wood was around at the time.
That's right, yeah.
He was playing, and because we played together back in the early days before Kieran, and then he went off to America and did his thing, and
So about that time, would that be when you started? Well, you must have met up with Duncan and Roy around later.
What happened was Gelt decided after, I don't know how many years, probably about 3 years, we were doing quite well over here, and we got booked by Jim McPhee.
Oh yes.
You know, we used to the agent, the gruff agent from Birmingham, who was, God, he was a strange guy. I really liked him. He got up a few people's noses, but because he spoke the truth.
Yeah.
He didn't mess about with his words.
No. Well, that's it.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah. It's better to know where you are than having a guess. So.
We started doing a residency at the Red Lion, which was the folk club, very famous folk club. But we did not the folk club night. We did another night, and then we got on. Dave Pegg came to see us one night, and they got us on Crop Ready, and I think that was probably 86, 87. And then went down from that. We did Cambridge. He got us on at Cambridge. At Cambridge, then we met these agents who got us this ridiculous tour in Norway and Sweden, which was just, it was a tour in Sweden in February, and it was coldest winter on record. It was, I don't know if you remember it, but years ago there was a train got lost in Scotland.
Right. No, I don't.
It was. I mean, over here it was really, really. And we were driving about with this van, no snow chains on or anything, nothing, no studded tyres. The last gig was up. It was literally not far from the Arctic Circle. It was about 600 miles north of Stockholm.
All right.
Right. That was the last gig, and oh, great planning. We got to Norway first, did a couple of gigs in Norway, drove to Stockholm, and when we got to Stockholm, we'd 5 days off. I'm like, what? We didn't come here to have 5 days off. And we were keeping in this, well, just keeping in a one room, you know, on sofas and that for 5 days, and then the next of them were like, up in these mountains. We did a place called Aura, which is, they had the Winter Olympics there one year, and that was a beautiful place. We went on these jet ski things, you know.
All right.
Not jet skis, ski-mobiles.
All right.
Up in the mountains.
Yeah.
That was the best part of the whole tour.
What did you like about the music? Oh, forget the music, like, yeah. So, I mean, we've looked at a number of your albums, but one that really stuck with me was on A Soldier.
Yeah.
The one that we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
And I just think, if I go back to the other point, which was you had like a lot of songs written before Night Shift.
Yeah.
And you've released albums, what, every 7 or 8 years or something like that? How do you do that?
Yeah, that'll be Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very prolific, I must admit, but no, we did Honest Soldier when we were with Lynn, and it was a classic case of I was writing stuff, and then we go in, and I was engineering, playing guitar, setting drum kits up, and it was never ever do that. I've learned that. You need somebody else doing that for you.
All right.
You can't. Sat in here, just doing it in here, yeah, fine.
Yes.
But when you've got live drum kits and everything, and we just, to me, Honest Soldier was it, and it just went on and on, too close to it.
Right.
That's why you need a producer in that situation. So someone just watch the clock and say, right, that's enough, lads. It's done. Leave it.
Right.
I mean, when you're doing it every day, I got too close to it, definitely.
To a lesser extent, I mean, we were talking before when I found this cassette from '85 and I redid it. So it was basically, I'd written the songs, and now I was recording the songs and editing the songs and trying to mix everything. Yeah. And I just got into such a, well, I just didn't know what to do. I couldn't hear it anymore.
Well, when I listen to Honest Soldier now, and I can hear me vocal. I've buried my vocals because I was sick of hearing them.
Right.
And I don't know if it's apparent, but if you listen to it again, you listen to it.
Okay.
If I was mixing an album for somebody else, I would not allow them to do that. I would the vocals are the most important thing, and it should be right up there. And a lot of the stuff on Honest Soldier, it's down in the mix, and that's me who did that. If somebody else, if my mate Des Ward had come in and mixed it, he'd have told me to sod off. And he wouldn't even listen to me. And he's a great engineer. He did the Follow Me album. And he really is a good engineer. One of the best I've ever worked with. But he wouldn't have allowed that to happen.
Right. Well, I've got to say, I mean, I do pride myself on having a reasonable set of ears, but I love the album. It's like on rotation in the car all the time. And I think one time I saw you, we were talking about it before, at like Worth Festival, I was like singing all the words at the side.
Yeah.
Roy's looking at me, you know, like drumming away going, what's he doing? Why is he singing the words? Because I love it, is the thing. Are you writing much now?
Yeah, yes and no. I'm the world's worst person at finishing things. I'm hopeless. Everything I do, I never finish anything. And then I got very ill back in 2015, and when I got through that and I got back home, I actually couldn't play guitar. I didn't come down here I couldn't walk for 3 months, and then I was on one of those, what do they call them?
Zimmer frames.
Yeah, honestly, a Zimmer frame. Yeah.
Are there any photos?
No. And then I've still got my sticks up there. I was on sticks.
Right. Could I just ask you what it was that happened?
Yeah, I got cut a long story short. I'd not been feeling well from like just before Christmas 2015, and I had flu, and proper flu. That's why one of my pet hates is when you see it on Aladdin packets and that for colds and flu. If you've got influenza, it can kill you.
Oh yes.
I mean, it killed 100 million people in 1918. Killed more people
than they did in the war.
Than it killed in the war, and that's just in Europe. There was a programme on the other night about it.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. But I mean, I've been doing quite a lot of work with children.
Yeah.
About the Great War.
Yeah.
Do you know how it came about? Did they mention it? They brought all of the geese and the chickens and all together so they could feed the refugees, and that's how it really went.
Yeah.
Anyway, you had this flu.
I got flu, and I was, you're in bed, that's it, you can't walk.
Oh yeah, delirious.
And I sort of got over it, but never really. I was just feeling quite bad, and then I got pain in my left hand side, and went on for about 3 weeks. And it got worse and worse and worse. I've been to the doctors twice with it, and they said, oh, I think you've pulled a muscle, or maybe you've bruised a rib. Because it felt I've had cracked ribs from motorcycle escapades and things like that, and I just got worse and worse and worse. And then one night I'd actually been to the doctors in the afternoon, and she'd given me some diazepam and some cream to rub on the side. And I said, what's the diazepam for? Well, she said it's a muscle relaxant. And by 8 o'clock I started, I got what they call rigor, which is when I had so much infection in my body, and I was so hot that your body starts shaking to cool your brain down, otherwise you're dead. Simple as that. And I was ambulanced in, and then diagnosed with pneumonia, which then turned to sepsis. I was transferred from Huddersfield to Leeds, which I don't remember anything of that. I don't even remember being in Leeds. I had a heart attack in Leeds, then got sepsis, and yeah, it was pretty hairy time. 7 weeks in ICU on a ventilator with a tracheotomy, so I couldn't talk, just couldn't eat, couldn't swallow, it was all force fed with tubes and everything.
But then, when you came out of that, you were saying that you couldn't walk, you couldn't talk. So the road to recovery
well, as soon as you take the tracheotomy out, you can't talk because it blocks off your vocal cords, and I mean, the whole thing it's because it's so much delirium. It's like you're in a completely different world. I was in a complete different reality, and the whole thing was it was so real. Not like it was like a nightmare, but how nightmares, when you have a dream and a nightmare passes. After a couple of, if you have a really bad one, you know, you might remember it again. It takes like
2 or 3 minutes to get back in the room.
But this was actually my reality. And afterwards, when I came out, I started having these flashbacks. And I went to the doctors because it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was very, very scary. I couldn't look at the sky for 2 months. I couldn't. If I looked up at the sky, I was terrified.
Really?
It was really weird.
Right.
And that was because in one of my little escapades, when I died and gone to heaven, and it was, you don't want to know what heaven's like. It's horrible. it's like,
you'll have to read Jürgen by James Branch Cabell.
But I mean, just all this coming in and out of lucidity, and making, and then gradually, sort of, then when I got back, after about the six weeks, I started realising where I was and could not talk to people, but sort of
put it together. Yeah.
And but then I came out. I didn't even come down here for about 3 months, and I came down here and I picked one of the guitars up, and I couldn't play. I knew what I wanted to play.
Yes.
But I couldn't get my brain wasn't telling my hands what to do, or my fingers weren't understanding what my brain was telling. I don't know, and that scared me to death. So I put the guitar down and left it for 6 months.
How did you feel? Because I mean, did you know? I mean, you didn't know whether it was going to come back at all. Or,
no, I didn't. No.
And with it being like a huge part of your life,
it was pretty scary. And then I came down one day and I thought, I'll try again. Probably about 6 months on, and fine. Not a problem.
Do you think almost subliminally your body and your brain was saying, like, I think you're ready? So you were inquisitive about it, but I mean, who knows? Who knows how the brain works?
I don't know. I think it was. I know when I was in hospital, because I couldn't talk, I was. The nurses were fantastic. One nurse in particular, she was lovely, and I'd write stuff. I'd write stuff down, but even writing stuff down because I couldn't talk. I'd write down what I thought made total sense, and it was complete, utter gobbledygook.
Yeah,
it wasn't even English. It was scrolls. Yeah, and I'm saying because at one time I was really, really thirsty for about 3 weeks. I think they got something wrong with the how much water I was, hydration. And, God, was I thirsty.
Well, it's almost unimaginable for me to think that 3 weeks where you're always feeling thirsty. So.
And I mean, like, like you're on a desert island thirsty, or on a boat thirsty, sailing in a sea. It was that bad.
Well, if you've had like sepsis and rigor, every neurological pathway is completely, you know, the back of your head, your hypothalamus will be going like you're thirsty, but who knows?
Then the next thing is it's like then you're on the ventilator because you couldn't breathe on your own, and they have to start weaning you off that, and that's not an easy one.
No. We're just going to switch it off for a 2.
They do it bit by bit, and then I'd get like panic attacks where I'd be thinking I couldn't breathe at all, even with the ventilator. And this nurse used to sit there and say, "Look, it's okay, it's all right, calm down." And I remember I knew every tile in the ICU, so I'd look at these tiles.
Of course you would.
Count the tiles, just trying to calm down, and I did it. and then slowly they take you down and take you down, and then right, we're going to try it without it, and that's a bit scary. And then they took the trachea out with that. Was incredible. Just take this thing out of your neck, for God's sake. You know.
Do you know, I think it's something that people should know about. I mean, it's a testament to your strength of will that you're sitting here now and playing again, and you've. I can't imagine what it would be like to have to force yourself back to relearning how to play the guitar, how to relearn how to do all of these things now.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's well, luckily. I mean, Johnny Dickinson is
another person.
I think I had it bad. God, Johnny, I think he was 9 months, wasn't he, in hospital, and we did a gig with him a while back, and I didn't have long enough to chat to him, unfortunately. But it was very similar. It went through exactly the same thing I was doing with the mental side of it and everything, and that went on for 9 months. You know.
With all these things that happened to you, do you think that's kind of slowed down your writing process, or are you just quite happy to sort of like wait until another song comes?
No, the one thing it did do, and it has done, it's changed it a little bit, because when I wasn't playing guitar, I was writing.
Of course, on Facebook you were writing stories and
things like that, and the whole of my musical career, I've never ever written a lyric and then put music to it. I've always had the music first, and maybe an idea for a lyric, and then that becomes a song, and it's either good, bad, or whatever. And but started writing lyrics, and then I need a melody for this now, which is a completely different way of writing, you know.
And do you find the songs are different from the songs that you've written in the past? In the structure, I mean, you have
in some ways, some work and some don't, and I find some of them to be, because the way I write on a keyboard is not the way you, when you just. Most of my songs come from just jamming, you know, singing along, and I'll put tape recorder on.
that word salad where you wind up just saying something that's got the right number of syllables in.
And usually you'll get a line, and then that's the start of the process. You know, you fill it in there.
So it's a different way around, I suppose, but it's still a writing process.
What I found is that a lot of them tend to be in the same sort of meter.
Oh, because you've written it
written them on the typewriter, and written them first. So it's like trying to then get melodies that are different.
You see, with your writing, I mean, you're not this kind of like chorus verse, middle eight, chorus like ending. You've got like quite a good solid structure. Almost, to me, it sounds almost orchestral. You know, that it's you've got like a surprise, you know, and it's not just like listening. Sometimes I listen to a lot of songwriters and it's a bit like listening to porridge, if you know what I mean. You know, you know what the next mouthful is going to be. But with yours, I mean, as well as the arrangements with Duncan and Roy, you've got like a surprise length of a song, and the chorus doesn't come where you expect it.
Well, they're all long ones. I've never written anything under usually well over 4.5, 5 minutes.
But that's a good thing. You know, I think that this is as well, going to an earlier point where, you know, you look at your records and it's got like genre and it's got everything in, where what they should have is like unique, you know, which I would, in the same way as they try and put somebody like Tom Waits, you know, they say, well, what is this music? It's unique. You know, and that's the beauty of what you do. That there's nobody else.
Very, very nice of you to say. So.
Well, you know, I've been following your career for, you know, I've just wasted the odd 37 years listening to listen to what you've done. I mean, I suppose if we come to a kind of conclusion, when you were writing songs at the very beginning, like the idea of being a songwriter had this kind of like almost aesthete. You know, there'd be people with scoop-necked T-shirts and, you know, all the rest of it, and they'd be tickling the guitar singing about a seagull crying on the top of a cliff, whereas you were kind of like belts and braces, under the skin and straight at it.
Yeah, well, I started off as a guitar. I was fascinated with guitars. Well, I didn't start writing songs until quite a long time after that. And I loved rhythm. And I think rhythm is equally as important.
Oh yes.
And I'm not like what I would consider to be a guitarist sort of thing.
Really? I'm surprised. I mean,
well, what I'm saying is, if somebody gets up and goes blah, 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 like this, I'm bored stiff within 10 minutes. I'm not interested. And I always think that some of my favourite guitarists are people who play guitar for the songs.
Right, I understand what you mean.
Keith Richards, prime example.
Yes.
Ry Cooder, Joni Mitchell, you know.
Sometimes, I mean, some of those people you mentioned, the guitar's like a pad, like a base for the song to be sung over.
Yeah.
Rather than there being like a virtuosity, like can you see how wonderfully I play the guitar?
Absolutely. I mean, it's my guitar. It's just what comes natural with me singing. It's not. I mean, I can't play lead guitar. I can a bit, but, but I'd have to sit down and figure it out. But I like my mate George, who lives down the road. He's a fantastic blues guitar player, and other stuff as well. Local legendary band from around here, the Creed. I think they were formed in 1968.
Oh right, okay.
If you want to see, a world class blues band, go see the Creed. Unfortunately, the singer died a couple of years ago, and that's all sort of gone now. But I mean, those sort of guitar players that can go, Eric Clapton, guitar players, you know.
Yes.
I couldn't do that in a million years.
Yes.
I don't even know my scales. I don't even know what key I'm playing in. No, I have to ask Duncan what key we're in. Because I'll be in a C tune and with the capo on the fourth. And what key is that? I said, no, he's asking me. I'll look at the tuner and I'll look. Oh, dear.
But that's better, isn't it? Really, that you're using instinct rather than sort of like a received knowledge.
Well, I always have done that. Yeah. Well, going back to when I was a kid, my dad. When John Williams, you know, the classical player,
yes.
He was on the telly quite a lot. And my dad said, because he figured out that I was, you know, interested. It wasn't just a fad, you know. So he says, right, well, if you're going to play guitar like, play proper guitar like John Williams. And he bought me, and I mean, he was very generous, my dad. And he bought me quite a nice classical guitar. I went to this guy called Bruno Barron for lessons. Bruno Barron worked in a school project with Julian Bream.
All right.
It's going back 50s, 60s, well, late 50s, early 60s, I would imagine. And there was a Polish guy. You smoke a pipe. And you go in, again that was a Tuesday night, and I still had this often a president at the time, and he said, well, what I teach is classical guitar, and this totally unsuitable. So then my dad got rid of it. I've had no say in the matter.
Oh right, okay.
He's like, well, you're playing that one now. And classical, but I don't know. It's been suggested that I might be mildly dyslexic or something, but I cannot understand. I can't add up. And Roy, big drummer, he does all the money at the end of the gig. I haven't got a clue. Yeah.
The honest drummer. Yeah.
And it's like dots on paper, man. You know.
Yes.
I struggled really.
I've got to say, I mean, I've spoken with a lot of classical players who don't understand that you can't read music.
No,
but I think that it's a much better approach. That it's like almost like an emotional gut reaction to music itself.
Well, he used to give me these. He'd give me these exercises to do by SAW, I think the guy's name, S-O-R, Spanish. And like when Bert Whedon's playing the day book, they had your C and your D minor with your little chord chart.
That's it,
where your fingers go, and I could sort of figure that out, you know. But when you get the chord is in a bar and that chord, so I have to then. Every good boy deserves favour, you know. I work it out note by note. Which that's a C.
The Rock Island line would take you 4 hours.
I didn't understand the timing behind it. So he used to play the piece for me, and then he'd help, and then he said, right, I'd go away, and a week later I'd be expected to play it. So I'd come in the following week, put the piece of music down, and I'd learnt it in my head. I was looking at the piece of music, but I wasn't reading it because I didn't understand it.
Yes.
And I'd play it, but play it completely differently than what it was.
But
he was always quite impressed with that, I think, because it.
Interpretation is quite.
I interpreted it the same chords, but like Les Dawson, not necessarily in the same
in the right order.
Right order.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous! Can I just say it's been an absolute pleasure.
And for me as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Cheers,
it's been great, and thank you for doing it.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Oh, great stuff. Did you enjoy that?
I did,
yeah. That was brilliant. Cup of tea, I know. Great. All still going. That's great. That was fabulous.